Hey everybody, this is Chelsea Schaefer.
And Caitlin Gustav.
And this is The Score, the official podcast of the sport of team roping. This is the Team Roping Journal's semi-weekly podcast highlighting the team roping industry's top talents and influencers through stories that inspire and connect ropers. We sit down with ropers from the professional ranks as well as industry icons and producers to delve into topics that make the team roping world tick. This is season 2. It will feature even deeper interviews, storytelling, and issue-based coverage, and we are so excited you're here. Hey everybody, welcome to The Score. This is the second episode of the second season of The Score podcast.
So exciting.
Caitlin, are you enjoying these podcasts?
I am. I really am.
Caitlin's our producer. You don't know that. She's not just the girl that says a few things at the beginning of every episode. She's our producer.
I do. I edit. I take a long time and make sure these podcasts sound good for you to listen.
She takes out my ums. I say a lot of ums. She tells me. I don't really like that. But she does a heck of a job at that. So this episode, Caitlin's already got to listen to it. This episode is a different one because we don't just talk about team roping. And we get a chance to talk to Cesar Cruz, who is our guest, a 9-time NFR qualifier. He roped with all the greats in his career. He's so far from done. This year he's roping with Garrett Rogers, a 2-time NFR header. Cesar is a horseman. He is a kid from South Tucson who grew up not in the way that most ropers who go on to make the NFR at an early age do. He kind of came from the school of hard knocks. He made it the hard way, and I'm so appreciative of him sharing that story with us. I said it on the short score earlier in the week, but when guys speak their truth, it gives people maybe that come from the backgrounds that they also come from a little bit more ability to understand the path to success from a really different background, because there's been a lot of obstacles in people's paths, and I know Derek was the same way. If you go back to season 1 and listen to our episode with Derek Begay, Derek talks about how he grew up and how he overcame obstacles. And Cesar in this episode talks about the doors that opened for him because of perseverance, because of choices, because of people that came into his life. I love the way that different people intertwined with Cesar's life to kind of make an impact on him. I know that he'll talk about the people that are important and that kind of changed the course for him. And I hope you all enjoy this episode as much as I did because it was pretty impactful. Hi, Cesar. Good morning.
Good morning. How's it going today?
Oh, it's a little snowy here in
Very snowy.
Beautiful Denver, Colorado in a blizzard. But I'm so glad that you want to talk about this. We were just talking about it before we started recording, that there aren't a ton of guys that I can trust to be as open as I can trust you to be. So.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff. Just kind of, especially the younger generation of people and people that are into this kind of stuff. They hear stories of real life stuff. I think it's kind of hits home to some.
Definitely. So I wanted to start this morning with I had Begay do this too, actually. Like, tell me what it was like in your house growing up and where. Give me a description of your neighborhood when you were 4, 5, 6, your boy's age, and what life was like.
Well, when I was a little kid, growing up when I was 4, 5, and 6, grew up in a trailer house, but we lived on 4.5 acres right next to my grandparents. And my mom and dad worked a lot, and my grandparents pretty much raised us. My mother and father had a few issues, and they ended up getting divorced. And kind of hung out with my grandparents a lot. Like, my grandpa's my hero. He's like a John Wayne figure to me. So anything he said kind of went, So when my parents got divorced, I chose to kind of, my grandpa was my dad, so I even call him Dad. So, but he helped me out a lot, and the reason I'm a cowboy and stuff, and kind of want to rope and pursue the cowboy lifestyle was because of him. When he went to World War II and he come home, and he was a cowboy. He was raised on a ranch, and he actually got his turtle card and was a pro rodeo member. Back then it was turtle days, and so he would tell me stories of riding a bunch of broncs and training horses with his dad and just having a good time, And the funny thing is, after the war, he got a job. He was an electrician and worked real hard. And he bought this nice little 4.5 acres in South Tucson, and there wasn't nothing really around us. And eventually, there was an airport. We lived right next to an airport. And then there was a bar next door. Across the street were trailer park, pretty big trailer park. And then apartment complexes kind of all around us. A few homes right next to where our arena was at, but it was pretty much the town grew around us, and a lot of violence. The cowboy lifestyle was deep in my roots and wanted to be, like I said, like my grandpa. But when I would go to school, I went to a big 5A school, and there was a lot of drugs, a lot of gangs. I got to see a lot of stuff growing up that way. That was more where I grew up the most. I had to grow up fast in high school because, there was bullies, there was all kinds of stuff. But I got a funny story about it's not a funny story, but I look back on it now and it's just crazy. I remember going to school one day, and I missed quite a bit of school because I was a rodeo kid, so I got a lot of help from the smart kids, and the smart kids were my buddies, I hung out with them. I had kind of a wide variety of friends. I hung out with the jocks, I hung out with everybody, but the nerds, I kind of had a soft spot for the nerds because I needed those guys to get me through school.
Maybe that's why we're friends.
So this Eric kid, he was a good kid, but his parents didn't have a whole lot of money, and he grew up in a trailer park, and kind of his growing up wasn't the best, and he got picked on a lot because he was a little guy, and I remember going to school one day, and they had security guards and they had cops patrolling the campus all the time, like there was, like I said, a lot of gang activity, and so Eric was getting bullied a lot, and he was tired of getting bullied. And so one day I see him, but he really doesn't say hi to me. He just kind of walks right by me, and I'm kind of on my way to class, so I'm kind of bebopping behind him just a little bit, about 10 feet, 15 feet behind him. And one of the guys that was bullying him, they kind of had a few words, and Eric stabbed him in the neck with a makeshift shank, kind of out of a pencil that he made. Stabbed him in the neck, and pretty chaotic. There was quite a bit of blood, screaming, stuff like that. Just missed the jugular vein just by a little bit, or else he would have killed the kid. Mm-hmm. But Eric took off, run off. Everybody, like I said, was pretty chaotic. I went to my first classroom, was Spanish class, and while I was in there, the SWAT team was called, and these guys are all geared up, semi-automatic weapons, they're all suited up. They're looking for Eric, and couldn't find him in the school. They had the helicopters flying over the school. They ended up finding him off campus a little bit. I didn't see Eric after that. I think he got in quite a bit of trouble. It's attempted murder, but he was only 16, so I don't know what ended up happening to him, and the kid that was bullying him, I don't know what ended up happening to him either. I think he transferred schools right away. But
so juxtaposing that against a lot of, now, you were 18, and then you were with a lot of the guys that grew up pretty privileged, trying to rodeo. How was that experience? That experience was eye opener. Just because, it's the access to whatever a guy needs to get up and down the road, and that was something that growing up that I never really had, and still it's not a luxury for me at all. Yeah.
I think growing up the way I did helped me out a lot, though, because out here, if you have any sort of kind of give up kind of attitude or anything like that, or if you're going to give up ship pretty easy, you're not going to make it very far out here. It can be roses one day and it'll be dust the next. That's just kind of how this sport is, you know, in every event, not just team roping, and just it's just the cowboy way. But the rigs nowadays that go up and down the road, the access that people have to these horses and stuff, the game's changing, the game's evolving, and so I think it's for the better.
Yeah.
I mean, the times are faster. Like we're at Denver today, and for example, there's 3/8 win the second round. There's 4-1s win in the first round. There's 9 flat on 2 just already, and still short go. So that's pretty fast. It's just getting faster and faster every year. So I've had to really search hard. I found some really cool heel horses. One heel horse in particular is one that I raised, and I really like him a lot. His name is Muddy Waters, and I got him as a baby, as a yearling, and had some of my best buddies, Coulter Todd, and a few of my buddies, real good buddies, ride him. And you know, it's just been awesome to see him grow and become a you know, he's top-notch rodeo horse. And then Lucky Bucky's I call him Lucky because he draws good cattle. I know it sounds crazy, but you come short go time, plan on drawing a good steer. You know, a lot of the rodeos, if you do draw a good, say a tough one-on-one maybe, you're going to come back on another one that you can win the day money on. So I'm very fortunate to get him. He loves his job, and it makes it fun to rope on him. But
now you brought up Coulter Todd, and then we'll kind of circle back to growing up. And we've talked about this. We wrote about this in the magazine too. When did Coulter come into your life, and how did that? Obviously, that he was kind of along with your grandpa as a big influence. Tell me about that.
You know, I've had several opportunities to go in the wrong path. You know, being where I come from, it's not my family. I have a great family, but just the town itself is, you know, there's a lot of bad people, a lot of bad stuff going on. It's not so bad no more, but back when I was growing up, it was bad. And so going to Coulter's house, I could stay. I was 30 miles of dirt road up in the mountains cowboying. So I've always had something with horses. I've always, you know, like they're in my dreams, you know, running horses, and I don't know, it's just something about a horse just gets to me. But getting to be with Coulter and breaking horses and riding horses, and just I've never been around anybody that liked to rope as much as I did, and he liked to rope every bit as much, maybe even more. You know, like I really liked to rope, and so every chance I got, because there was so much trouble to be had, I in school, the kids at school were always wanting me to get in trouble and kind of find, you know, ways to get in trouble. I'd go to Coulter's, and I felt like he was a real genuine friend and looking out for me and trying to, you know, for the better, make me a better person. So I really enjoyed going to his place and hanging out with him.
Yeah.
Best friend, lifelong best friend for sure. And, you know, my grandpa really liked Coulter a lot too, so I think that's kind of, man, just my grandfather is, you know, he was a World War II veteran. The stuff that he had to endure, and still, it was his dream for his kids and his grandkids to be pro rodeo cowboys. And so I'm just glad that I'm kind of making him happy. You know, I see him all the time. He smiles and gives me a big hug. 93 years old, and
I was gonna say, how old is he?
Still ropes, and
he does.
He can't really ride no more. He gets pretty sore, but the last year he roped, he was 90 years old. It was 90. They had a big birthday party for him, and he roped, and yeah. So just want to be like my grandpa, you know. What
kind of horseman was he? What were some of his theories on horses?
It still sticks with me too. He says, you know, if he see me getting after my horse or upset with my horse, he says, you got to be smarter than the horse, son. And I says, what do you mean by that? Well, if your horse is not doing what you want right then, you need to spend more time with him. And he was all about spending time with your horse. If you're having a problem in the rope and pin, you need to take him outside and ride him and spend more time, you know, the basic stuff, getting him calm and relaxed. And, you know, he didn't really know a whole lot about getting horses like reining broke and all that stuff. his horses were broke. You know, they knew the pattern. They could, you know, spin. Like his style was more of a vaquero style. You know, he learned from his dad. So I come from a long lineage of great Southern Arizona cowboys.
Yeah, how long has your family been in Southern Arizona?
As far as I know, from the start, I know we're Mexican, but we all Mexicans, but we right there on the borders, kind of where Tubac. I don't know if you know where that's. That's just kind of north of the border, probably 40 miles or so. So it's just right there on the border.
Yeah, and they used to have ropings there a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
The Tubac ropings?
Yep. Some wild, good ropings. They score them out there, big, strong cattle, and you know the cowboys were, you know, cowboy country out there. Big hills, a lot of mountains, big thick mesquite trees. And the cows get pretty wild out there, so there's quite a few cowboys out there.
Yeah, I actually wrote a story about Arizona history, and Champ told me about Tubac, and I spelled it wrong, and the Arizona folks.
No,
they weren't happy with me. I definitely messed up Tubac.
No.
I apologize to all of Arizona. Now I definitely know. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
So I can make that clear. That
Yeah.
I understand and appreciate the heritage there.
Yeah, that's I sometimes wish they would go back to that place because I don't know if you've seen the old videos and stuff. The arena was huge, and the steers were massive, and the guys back then, you know, they're just old school, but they really rode well too. And man, I'm caught in between the old school and the new school. You know, back when I was a kid and growing up, I thought it was pretty cool because I was one of the only kids that had a beeper going to school. You know, so growing up and then getting a cell phone in college, I thought that was really cool. And you know,
Did you college rodeo?
Yep, I went to CAC. I qualified for the college finals 1 year, and then the next year I quit and started my rodeo career.
Is that when you met Arena, when she was kicking everybody's butt at the college rodeos? Or?
I met Arena when we were little bitty kids.
Really?
Like we were just growing up, you know, because Matt and I were buddies, and we roped quite a bit. Matt was always just a little bit better than I was, you know, like he won trucks and he was just phenomenal when he was younger. He still ropes well too, but he made the finals when he was 18 years old, you know, like he's phenomenal. So I was always kind of looking up to him kind of every chance I got going and practicing, and you know, Arena's beautiful, you know, so getting to rope with her and kind of like got to be really good friends. And
So you roped with her before you dated her?
Oh yeah,
I don't know this history.
It was awesome actually going to Montana and stuff in the summertime. I met a buddy from Idaho, and I ended up going rodeoing out there and jackpotting with Arena and Bobby. Those are my 15 partners, and we killed them all the time. I either won with Bobby or Arena, so I made a good living jackpotting out there.
And for those who don't know, we're talking Bobby Tryon. Now Bobby Tryon.
Bobby Tryon, yes.
And
people don't know, she's got a lot of game.
Yeah.
She can really rope too.
I've seen her ride do before.
Yeah,
She makes,
Yes. Back when she had the black horse with the, you know, Thumper, the great head horse. That horse is the real deal. She won so much on that horse. That was her horse, you know, when she was younger. And Arena had a sharp little head horse, a little sorrel horse that could really fly, really run. And we won some open ropings together. And that's why they raised her to a 7. She was a 7 at one point.
Really?
Because they justified it. It's because we won some open ropings in Montana and won incentives and stuff too. You know, there was 15 incentive back then. So yeah, we did real well, and just she's my buddy. You know, we kind of were friends, and you know, and ended up falling in love with her, and we got 3 beautiful boys now, and been married for 10 years. And
Your wife is an angel.
yeah, she's awesome. She's awesome. She really is. You know, the boys are pretty wild and they're hard on their mom, but they're mama's boys for sure. They love her, and you know, when they get older, it's gonna be funny how they're gonna really follow and kind of make sure they're keeping mama happy, which is good.
That's awesome.
I'm a mama's boy, so I'm perfectly fine with that.
That's awesome. Has she been roping at all lately?
No, we just bought a new place in Casa Grande.
You did?
Yep. We got a beautiful place out there, 5 acres, and a beautiful house, but there's nothing on it. So we're building an arena, we're building stalls, we're building everything. So I didn't know it was going to take that long. You know, I thought, shoot, when I got back home from rodeo, no big deal. We're just going to put some pipe up.
Are you welding it yourself?
No, I got some buddies helping me, but you know, that gets expensive. So
Yeah.
I thought I'm just going to do it myself, and realized that's why them guys charge so much, is because to do a good job it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, Tori and I are coming down next month. I'll have him bring a truck.
Don't bring the whole rig. You guys got a spot over there to hang out.
Sounds good.
But yeah, it's just I'm looking forward to the future, and it's a good area. I live a little closer to the roping action in Arizona, so in the wintertime, Arizona's so many ropers out there. It's unbelievable. It's just crazy to go to Wickenburg and Scottsdale and Cave Creek and even Casa Grande and see all the horse trailers and people pulling, and there's not just team ropers. There's reiners, cutters. There's barrel racers. It's just kind of wintertime. It's about to be, I guess, the wintertime is Arizona.
Guys, this episode is brought to you by U.S. Rider. Caitlin, how does my husband handle it when I run a truck out of fuel?
Not very well.
Not very well. And when I do run our truck out of fuel on I-25, I remind him, "Hen, it's no big deal. We have U.S. Rider." And he's not nearly as impressed with that as I am. But either way, U.S. Rider does come and save us on the side of the highway. My husband has run out of fuel. You've heard that commercial before. He's done it. But there are a lot of wives out there who may run out of fuel, may blow a tire. There's a lot of guys out there that may run out of fuel, may blow a tire, may have any level of accident that you might think of. And U.S. Rider is so handy. It is the roadside assistance program of the equine industry. They have been our sponsor since the beginning of the Score podcast, and we so appreciate them. And because of that, you've got a new promo code for 2019 so that you can get 2 free months of U.S. Rider service if you mention promo code TRJ19. That is promo code TRJ19. All you've got to do is go to usrider.org. When you sign up, you log in to join or renew. You enter in TRJ19. That's your promo code. You get 2 free months of towing, repairs, battery assistance, anything you need, flat tires, lockout service, fuel, oil, or water delivery. And you get enrolled in the Winner's Circle Advantage benefits and discounts. With that code, TRJ19, you get 2 free months of it. usrider.org. Now, you're just talking about buying this new place. And we talked about horses earlier. I feel like there's a couple things I want to ask you about this. You've had so many great horses who have helped you build this life and this career that you have, that rodeo's given you so far from South Tucson, as far as the demographics and everything are way different than they were in South Tucson. But at the same time, you've had to sell and part with a lot of these great horses to get by time to time. The horse that you won Omaha on, I remember that really that bald-faced horse. You told me this is the best horse you've ever had. You love him, and then he was gone not long after.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a brutal part of rodeoing.
That was the start of my downfall. Out here, if you don't have one of the best heel horses, the headers will overlook you. It don't matter how good you rope. That means nothing. It's what you're riding. Same thing with the headers. Horses mean so much. I got a great opportunity to sell the horse to Jason Ritchie, and he's a great family out there in Midland, Texas, and great people, and they really love the horse. And I didn't have the best finals in 2014, and I just feel like I didn't make the best. I didn't make the best decision. I've sold some really good heel horses, and that one I kind of regret because I didn't replace him with something that was equally as good. I need to find a great one. I found a good one, but she wasn't great. That horse was great, and horses mean so much. They're. I used to think horses were machines. I was pretty hard on them, and I felt like I'm learning more about their personalities and trying to learn how to work with them and not against them. If they're doing something wrong, it's something smaller than you think, and no need to get upset with them. Mostly, I'm learning how and spending more time riding them and putting a ring snaffle in them and just riding them around, cruising them around, letting them relax. because when you put your bid on, your tie down on, you're getting ready to rope. It's kind of a stressful time for them.
Yeah.
They know it's like a football player, right? You know, they're a wide receiver. He knows he's got to run hard and he's going to get hit every time. And if you don't love it, that they're going to kind of, about middle of the year, they're going to kind of fall apart on you and kind of get sore and not work as good for you. You got to find I don't take this term lightly either, because I got a lot of respect for the military. You need a warrior out here for a horse, something that's going to be able to take, you know, long travel, the hard hits, you know, and still keep going. The horse has to love it as much as you do, or else you're going to have trouble out here. It's getting tougher and tougher all the time, but the horses are getting better. I really do. I believe the breedings and people are understanding how to ride them and train them. And I've been spending a lot of time with Dakota Kircheslager here last few years, and we had a talk a few years back. It was about 2014, 2015, and he assured me and told me that I do ride like shit. I don't ride very well. I rope good, but I don't ride very well. And so the last 3 or 4 years, I've been working on that real hard, trying to become a better horseman, better rider. Try to stay out of the horse's way as much as possible, because I got some really good horses, and if I let them work, they're amazing. So,
What have you been working on in your riding?
My legs. Try to be softer with my left hand. If your horse doesn't move off your legs, you're gonna have a hard time, because if you're always constantly pulling on your horse, his head's gonna be up. The horse has to at some point get his head down to be able to work and maneuver his body, and so having a broke horse is, I think, the most important thing nowadays. If the horse is not broke, you're not going to be able to. It's going to be hard, because the headers now they reach long ways, and the heel horse has to be able to close the gap and do some athletic stuff to be able to get up and around the corner and then finish the run. It's kind of cool now. I feel like I'm becoming a student of the game. I felt like I was, but, you know, I made the finals 9 times, and I feel like I got lazy. I felt like I needed to start studying more about riding and horsemanship. And the working cow horse guys, Brad Lett in particular, really impressed by how those guys ride and can get a 3-year-old to do some stuff that's unreal, you know. So if after them guys get done with them horses, you know, their 6-year-old years or so, 5-year-old years, those horses are amazing to rope on. Super easy to rope on. So that's what I've been looking for, is like working cow horse type horse nowadays.
And you and I have a mutual friend in the Myers family. What have you learned from them about, and when I say that, in case anybody doesn't know, we're talking the Myers family of South Dakota, of Frenchman's Guy fame. What have you learned from them about horses?
Well, spending some time with Mr. Bill and Miss Deb, and Billy's a really good friend. They understand horses like it's a science. They know how to breed a stud to a mare and get a finished product that's going to be a successful anything you want it to do. You want it to be I mean, they're so fast they can be, you know, they're so fast they can be racehorses if they really want to, but they got them built perfect to do what we need to do, as far as, you know, the barrel racers love the horses because they got some size, speed, they got brains. The heel horses, their size of horses are more for the head horses, because as fast as they can run, as athletic as they are, as strong as they are, they make really good head horses. I got a little mare over there right now, one of my favorite heel horses that I've had. She's beautiful. Her name is Annie Oakley, and we got getting some smooth guy colts out of her, and I'm looking forward to the future. The next 4 or 5 years are going to be really exciting for me, just to see getting to spend time with Mr. Bill and crossing the right horses. It's just I'm just excited.
Yeah, and Annie, I'm not sure when we're going to release this episode of the podcast, but our March issue, Annie has a big role in it, as we've got a story on the top mares of all time, the greatest mares of all time, and Annie Oakley is undoubtedly, we couldn't write that story without her. And so if anybody hasn't read the magazine yet, tell me about Annie. And she came through your Uncle George? So
Annie Oakley's a funny story. She, my friend, really good friend, and really great horse trainer that trains all of my Uncle George's young horses. His name is Rick DeHakis. He actually sells a lot of barrel horses, too, because he's really handy at getting them started the right way. Mm-hmm. He bought Annie at a horse sale. She was a cute little thing. I think he got her for about $2,500, which is pretty good for a yearling, and brought her home. Got her going. She never bucked. She was a little flighty, but real easy to start, real kind. And it wasn't but maybe, I think Rick spent about 60 days with her, getting her really going. And when George started roping on her real slow, the donkeys, real slow steers, he told me about this mare. And he said, if you ever come across some money, I think you should buy this horse. I come home, I rode her a few times and fell in love with her. She could run like, she was so fast. I've only rode a few horses that can run like that. And she was super, super easy to, like I said, just rope on for me. When she was 4 years old, her 4-year-old year, she was 3, we roped on her a little bit. 4-year-old year, I jackpot on her and won jackpots, the Lasso del Sol roping, the Arizona Championships. I won that. Back then they had a little Laughlin roping, Bullhead City roping. Won that on her, and she's just a baby, She's just a 4-year-old, but she could really, really run and really stop. I rode her, I feel, too hard. I needed. She was all I had. I had her and Johnny Ringo at the time, which I was blessed with 2 really great horses, but I was able to make a really great living on them. But both of them, their legs, Johnny's knees, Annie's ankles, they took a beating. And Annie, she was bone on her ankle when she was about 12 years old. And she would still work, but she would limp out of the arena whenever I would get done roping on her. And I felt like she didn't owe me nothing. She was a great mare. And I felt like her babies would be worth more to me than riding her in the arena and making her, do that kind of stuff. But what I know now, I would, if I get another one like her, be a little bit easier on her, ride her a few, get her going, but then turn them out. It's good to turn the babies out when they're 3 years old, turn them out for a month, or, let their muscles heal, let their bones heal a little bit, and then kind of can bring them back up again. But get them some time off, I think, helps out the babies more than anything else.
Hopefully you have a few more like her
Looking
coming from South Dakota.
Looking forward to it. Kid from South Tucson, meeting some people in South Dakota, and fall in love with a girl in Montana. I feel like I'm very blessed. The God's had a plan for me, and sometimes even though I don't seem like I take the right path, he's always there for me and makes me go follow the right path no matter what. So.
He's put some really cool people in your life that have
very, very cool people
forgiven that path or forgiven any wandering. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Very blessed person, I know that.
That's awesome. Well, I have been very blessed to know you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. Appreciate you having me.
Awesome. Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for listening to this episode of The Score. I hope we get to do more episodes like this. I absolutely loved talking to Cesar. I think he'll be back on the podcast. He really enjoyed visiting, and I think we can look forward to talking to him throughout the year. So thanks, everybody, for listening.